For almost a decade, it seemed like every time Treyarch released a new game, the Zombies mode would always take some bold new leap forward. The story always had something new, the gameplay became more refined, and the overall product came out better. Of course, there were rough patches like Transit and Black Ops 2 needing to be stripped down for performance reasons before launch to get it working on consoles, but after that things really kicked into overdrive with Mob of the Dead. Still considered one of the greatest maps ever made, Mob was the first map ever directed by bald man and drip enthusiast Jason Blundell. From there, the Zombies team with him in charge went on the most legendary run of success in community history. It started with Mob of the Dead, then came Origins, then Shadows of Evil, then Der Eisendrache. There's a reason I was able to make a poll of the best maps ever made, and I could confidently include all 4 of those without it seeming weird. But things did get a bit weird with Zetsubo no Shima, dividing the fans a bit and creating a small dead period, but that all picked back up big time with Gorod Krobi. At the end of Gorod's Easter egg, we were all hit with the shocker that the next map, Revelations, was going to be the conclusion to the entire Ether storyline. Every single day waiting until Revelations released was magic because we could only speculate what was going to happen and where we were going, but well, as Dr. Monty himself would say,
but things started to go wrong.
The idea of the final Ether map being a mashup of many previous maps seems really cool on paper, and I actually really like Revelations, but it was undeniable there was some disappointment. And as the Easter egg hunt dragged on from hours to a day to a week, you could feel the ungodly level of hype that had been building just slowly fading away. And by the end, it was only being fueled by what is there at the end of everything. We need to know what happens, and for the second time in 2 games, Treyarch straight up cucked us. Instead of a real ending for our heroes, they just cheat their way back to the beginning of the cycle, leaving the community no closer to feeling like we had learned anything at all. This is just strike 1 for Black Ops 4. Why, may you ask? It's because this was the first time the Zombies community in recent memory had really felt burned by Treyarch. Some people speculated, including me, that they were realizing how much money Ether was making and they were doing anything to keep milking the cash cow. Before this, Treyarch had earned a reputation to never doubt them. And for the first time, we were really seeing some scratches in that armor. As time went on though, opinions softened a bit on Revelations as the community found a new punching bag in Infinite Warfare Zombies. You know what happened next though. Bald Man showed up at an apartment, showed his chest, and suddenly we get 8 remastered maps after everyone had assumed Black Ops 3 was done forever. Zombies Chronicles is still one of the highest selling PlayStation DLCs ever made, and it costs double what most Call of Duty DLC packs would cost up to that point. Chronicles made so much damn money from just zombies that it was hard for the Activision executives to not start sniffing around and seeing what they could do with the mode. See, prior to this, while Zombies had continued to get better every year, it was also receiving more budget for each game, and the Zombies development team kept on expanding. It clearly jumped a lot between Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3. So with the last game doing well, plus Chronicles pushing things over the top, Zombies was going to go big time for the next game. And while everything was getting on well for the fans, things weren't really going so great over at Treyarch. Jason Blundell had once again ascended from Zombies lead to a co-studio head at Treyarch, meaning he was now in charge of development for the entire game, and as he settled in, issues came up like the campaign not coming out the way that they were hoping, eventually trying completely new ideas that Activision outright hated. It got so bad that Activision just decided to scrap it and make COD's first ever Battle Royale map in only a couple of months. All of this contributed to people all being pulled away from different aspects of the game like Zombies to pitch in for Blackout. That's a real problem when you're quietly developing 4 entirely different maps that are much bigger and much more detailed than in any of the other previous games. So while Treyarch is going through hell, the Black Ops 4 reveal is happening. Jason Blundell and Craig Houston walk out on stage to talk about zombies, and almost immediately they show off a brand new storyline. This was the first thing they talked about, and it just set the wrong tone right away because everyone wanted to see what was happening after Revelations in the Ether storyline. The production levels on this reveal were fucking incredible though. Then Jason came back out on stage and started promising a lot of the stuff to the community that just never would happen. It started off with custom mutations, which sounds cool, but in practice turned out to be some mostly basic settings changes that no one actually uses very often. After that, he talks about the Black Ops authentication system where each online match would give you a code that anyone could check that shows your scoreboard and if you were in custom mutations or not. He said it would help crack down on cheaters and be helpful for third-party high-round leaderboards. Well, no one actually uses it, and it didn't prevent cheaters, and the link to it actually doesn't work anymore. It just redirects you to Call of Duty website homepage, so yeah, I don't think anyone gave a shit about it. The next lie was callings, which were supposed to be new ways to play the game, set up seasonal content, and have some themed experiences. As you can kind of tell, literally none of that happened. Like, unironically, not a single bit of that ever came to Zombies. Right after that, he told the truth for once, actually saying that Zombies Rush would be coming. It's a new game mode where you basically just collect points at an increasing rate until you die on it, so I'm really glad he pulled through on that promise. Yeah, real good one, Jason. Aside from all that though, it was clear that the zombies budget, especially with Jason Blundell in charge, had increased a huge amount if it has this many beautiful cutscenes and they're making so many new maps. By ending off with the reveal for Blood of the Dead and all of that information in hand, at the time the zombies community was literally ripping itself apart in excitement. Everything I told you at that point was a fact, plus 3 maps not including classified is the most launch content zombies has ever had. It sounded like nothing in the entire world could derail the hype train. YouTubers who had already made their bank accounts fat off of Black Ops 3 were foaming at the mouth with excitement. If a map like Der Eisendrache could get 9 million views on a tutorial, how many could something like Blood of the Dead get? And then after that, we've still got 3 more maps to make videos on, but no one saw what was coming. YouTubers in the hardcore community kept hyping each other up more and more and more, and Treyarch fed into this with them staying quiet on features being cut out from the initial reveal. In fact, that kinda made it worse by then revealing Classified, which is a smaller map than the others, but is still a map that needs development time, and it brought back the Black Ops 1 characters. Everyone was so excited, and then eventually launch day came, and zombies changed forever for the worst. Before I go further, let me make it clear that I like Black Ops 4. Ancient Evil and 9 are some of the best maps ever made to me, but clearly zombies has changed, and changed a lot because of everything that happened from this point onwards. We're still feeling the fallout of it today, and probably will be for a lot longer, probably even after COD 2024, maybe even COD 2027 will still have ripples from this. So on launch day, things got off to a great start with players loading into their first game, going a few rounds, and then it was basically a coin flip if your game was going to crash or not. Clearly, Treyarch's QA department and developers were stretched to their limits and couldn't test the game's stability enough. Having to make 2 campaigns, a multiplayer battle royale, and 4 zombies maps is going to do that. And the player experience as a result began to suffer. The maps themselves seemed alright, but there was annoying things to deal with, such as the player health and perk system. On day 1 in regular matches, players were a 3-hit down with 150 health. And with the removal of Juggernog, which Treyarch saw as a crutch perk, it made maps feel unforgiving rather than challenging. The zombie tigers on 9 could 1-hit down you from full health, and so could the Blightfather. This was actually changed after only 2 days because it was such a massive issue to the now 200 health that we've got these days. Everyone was having a hard time trying to understand the new loadout system where you picked perks before the game and then there would only be 4 perk machines on the entire map instead of letting us choose from 8 or 9. All of the new perks as well had learning curves. Some of them were outright useless and others were only useful in niche situations. As I touched on a minute ago, none of this really mattered though because your game probably wouldn't last long enough to get perks before crashing. It doesn't matter if the content is great if no one can fucking play it, and as player frustration mounted, the obvious flaws of every map came out quicker than they normally would. 9 had too many special zombies for a map where the wonder weapon is garbage. Voyage of Despair is too goddamn big and most people were getting lost or killed by the Hammer Bros before getting much done. Blood of the Dead, as much as I like, it was not a worthy successor to Mob of the Dead that people were hoping for, and an Easter egg that's way too long. And Classified is cool, but where's the Easter egg? Oh wait, apparently it's at round 150 where no one can get to because of the goddamn crashes. Because of these issues and it not being what everyone was so hyped up for before launch, Black Ops 4 began to turn people away quickly. And with people tuning out that fast, it began to affect how videos were performing on YouTube. Like I said before, a lot of the biggest channels became massive off of Black Ops 3. This was supposed to be their year, and it was probably going to make them potentially millions of dollars on some channels like Noah J or Mr. Waffle Waffles, and as launch day came and went, views didn't really go as high as they had probably envisioned. Now think about this for yourself. If you honestly thought that you were going to make $1 million for months beforehand and then suddenly realized it wasn't going to happen, wouldn't you be mad? Because to me, that's what seemed like happened with the entire narrative of YouTube on BO4 Zombies beginning to shift in front of your eyes from launch day excitement and maps that have flaws but are still good, to suddenly the whole game is a huge letdown. The crashes are ruining the fun, the new chaos story sucks, and no one is happy. I remember being there and I could almost see the excitement fading and didn't really understand why at that point. Yes, Black Ops 4 was not perfect and I still hate Voyage of Despair, but that sense of anger and sadness just took over the community. All Black Ops 4 really needed was a few changes plus fixes for the crashing and things would be okay. As the days turned into weeks and as every Easter egg was finally completed through hard work or having an ex-Treyarch employee leak them on Twitter, nothing changed. Games were still crashing, obvious flaws were not fixed. Treyarch went from being super communicative and involved with the community before launch to complete and utter silence once the game came out. They were clearly chipping away at the issues internally while trying to not address it publicly, but it just took way too long, with Classified's Easter egg only being solved through glitching. The high round crashing issues took months to fix, with it finally getting better right before DLC 1 came out, and then another patch right before DLC 2, but a lot of people still crash to this day, especially on PC. That's not even getting into the crashes from the Easter eggs themselves, and what I think happened in the few months after this changed how zombies is created, approached, and commented about online. By people like me and the other big YouTubers, they probably knew going into the launch of BO4 that things wouldn't be all sunshine and rainbows, but the zombies community had almost completely turned on Treyarch. All of this mess from the launch made Revelation's anger look like absolutely nothing. Every single day, videos were being made expressing anger or making the game into a laughingstock. There was basically no hope in Treyarch, and things really bottomed out when their first DLC map, Dead of the Night, released randomly one night without any big announcement or even a trailer. Clearly conversations were happening behind the scenes at Treyarch though, because starting with DLC 3 Alpha Omega, a clear change had been made from the super high budget cutscenes we had previously gotten for Black Ops 4. Those were no longer there, and in their place we were basically just getting pictures that slightly moved around. This applied to the opening cutscene as well as the Easter egg ending cutscene. We didn't even get a proper trailer for just Alpha Omega until the day it released, where it was a 58-second basic gameplay trailer that had basically no cinematics in it. The budget for zombies had been slashed, and seemingly slashed hard, because it's sad that the larger season/operation that this map was a part of, called Operation Z, had better zombies maps in fucking multiplayer than in zombies. One map called Der Schaden is Der Eisendrache themed, and Treyarch directly says that it's a companion map to DE. It's got all the same features, and you can see the DE castle from it. This multiplayer map is that little town from Spawn where you see the Origins robot fall down next to it. Keep in mind, this is a multiplayer map. Why was this budget not used on zombies instead of giving us a shitty Nuketown remake that is actually really small? Probably because multiplayer and Blackout were performing better than zombies was at the time, and the operation was planned out before launch, so when zombies flopped, they just diverted the funds away. Have I mentioned there's a fucking pack-a-punch machine and the transit bus on a multiplayer map? Before I continue to get more mad, basically it became super obvious that zombies itself was no longer the priority, and Activision was pissed off. One thing I haven't mentioned about the broadcast I've been showing you guys is that for the first time basically since he took over in Black Ops 2, we didn't see Jason Blundell in this at all. Actually, from this point on, we will never see him working at Treyarch again. To show off the zombie stuff, Craig Houston was brought in, and clearly he was uncomfortable being on camera. But because of this, it started that snowball idea in the zombies community of, where's Jason? Well, we're never really going to know the full picture, but it seems like around this time is when Jason was either fired by Activision or didn't have as much control as he once did. Him leaving the studio wasn't officially announced until March of 2020, but something definitely big happened right before Alpha Omega released. So now we're headed into the final Ether Zombies map ever, and in the span of 10 months, Zombies has gone from its biggest hype and biggest budget ever with the former Zombies lead in charge of the whole studio, to him being gone from the company. Zombies has flopped harder than anyone could have imagined, and the budget has been slashed hard. It feels like this is about when Activision began to look at zombies completely differently. They once again see zombies as a little brother to all of the other modes and shouldn't be trusted to carry an entire game, let alone a franchise. Things aren't bad enough to cancel zombies altogether, but Treyarch also isn't going to be given the budget to make super detailed, expansive maps and million-dollar trailers anymore. Something that I also don't hear talked about is the fact that Treyarch were now completely locked into ending the Ether storyline, which was their biggest thing keeping people around. The new Chaos storyline was cool and had some room to develop, but it didn't grab people in the same way the Ether did, plus Chaos seemingly got all of the year's budget. The only high production quality Ether map we ended up having was Blood of the Dead, sadly enough, so now Treyarch's in a position where Chaos won't get greenlit for the next game because of the decreased budget and mixed fan reaction. Ether is gone, which means a certain number of people will not care about the new thing. Their reputation is absolutely in the toilet, and their lead developer slash storyline writer is gone. Literally everything that could have gone wrong then and there did, but because it needed to, Tag Der Toten released, and for the final Ether map ever, we finally play as the fucking transit crew. For as much as I love the ending cutscene with Nikolai doing what Richtofen never could, ending the cycle and sending the kids to a better world, I will never forgive Tag Der Toten for having playable characters be from fucking transit. Oh well, you know what, get fucked anyway, because I guess they get sucked into the Dark Ether just for trying to do the right thing. They don't even get a good ending. Things after this didn't even really get much better for Treyarch, because now they're going to need to try and create a new storyline with a severely decreased budget. On top of this is something that most people don't mention is the rise of Warzone. It becoming the most popular thing COD has ever made overnight immediately made zombies less important in the eyes of Activision. Why risk zombies with a huge budget going badly like they did with Black Ops 4 when they could just spend more money on Warzone? After literally 10 years of building up zombies to a point where it had the potential to become become the biggest part of the COD franchise, it only took 1 year of Black Ops 4 going so catastrophically wrong to going right back down to the very bottom of the totem pole, a position that it's still fighting out from underneath. Cold War didn't even have as much development time as they would have liked because of the pandemic. Then Vanguard basically had zero work done on it by Treyarch, but got their name slapped on it anyway to sell copies, and they took a huge reputation damage again. No one's sure how MW3 is going to go, but next year for Gulf War is going to be Treyarch's first real shot in 6 years at restoring some of that damage, presumably with a somewhat increased budget because Cold War did perform very well. Because the budget cut forced Treyarch to change it from the crazy surreal worlds and environments that cost a lot of money to create down to a more grounded design that feels more in line with the rest of the game surrounding it. As Cold War went on, we did see the old Treyarch come out a little bit though, so fingers crossed on this one. And the last way that BO4 really hurt zombies was in the community side of things. Treyarch went from BO3 heroes to BO4 zeros very quickly, and it's a negativity that we haven't really been able to shake yet. As much as Cold War sold a lot of copies and performed very well amongst casual fans, a lot of the people who love the Ether storyline and the Black Ops 3 style began to turn away from it. They felt slighted that Treyarch was trying to appeal to a different audience and that the maps were too basic. Vanguard made all that exponentially worse, and with MW3 some people are about to fucking revolt. There's been an angry dark cloud hanging over the community for years, and Treyarch really needs to start winning back the hardcore fans somehow because it's starting to get really toxic. It's gotten to the point where the online community doesn't trust Treyarch to make good maps anymore. Admit it, somewhere in the back of your head you have doubts that even COD 2024 won't be as good as you hope it'll be. That all stems from the last few years of content being either very different from what it was like with Cold War, or it's been outright bad like Vanguard, and it's caused some hesitation amongst people. Treyarch needs to earn back that trust, I think, through better communication with us about what to expect from games like MW3, and especially for 2024. At the reveal for that game, the first words they better say about it is the 2 words of round-based. I'm a fan of the other modes like Outbreak and whatever MW3 is, but round-based is clearly needed as well to get things off on the right foot. Also, obviously on launch, the content needs to be good as well, building on the cooler things they added in near the end of Cold War that reminds us of the older games like Black Ops 3. Even then, it's still an uphill battle for them, and it's all because of Black Ops 4. Where do you think things started to go wrong? Let me know in the comments. Sorry if I sounded weird in this video, I'm kind of sick. By the way, liking the video also helps more than you realize, and now you should go watch this video about why thousands of people are playing Black Ops 2 every day. Thanks for watching, love you, bye-bye.